All right, so I obviously have a little introduction for you. Question for, the listeners. Have you ever watched someone blend tradition and trend so effortlessly and it almost kind of feels like a whole new art form? The other way I want to describe you is a powerhouse of creativity.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Welcome to you and everyone back to another episode of What's Your Sankalp? And today we have Manaswini, aka Swini. Is that the right way to pronounce it?
Yeah, that's the right way.
Okay. How are you today and what's going on?
A lot. What's not going on? There's a lot of things happening. But first off, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor, and I'm really excited to be here and chat with you.
To the listeners, a little bit about Sweeney is that you're a Kuchipudi dancer. Are you a DJ?
I am a DJ, yes. Now officially, as of this year, my first ever real gig was in March of 2025. So it's only been a couple of months since I actually really picked it up. But before that, for like 7 years maybe, I was into music production. So that was more of like making mashups and live vocal things. So two different things, but yeah, ultimately I somehow became a DJ.
We will obviously dig deep into each of these worlds of yours, a Kuchipudi dancer, music production, artist, DJ, a digital creator. What else? I'm definitely missing a title or two here if you want to educate the world and the listeners here.
I think those are the two main things. But if I think of something else that I do, I'll definitely like.
How do you introduce yourself? I know you also do something else during the day. I mean, I'm not going to call this after 5 p.m. stuff, but what else do you do?
Yeah, so mainly I do have a day job. I work a 9 to 5. And while I absolutely, love dance and I love DJing and I love all of those things, I think common misconception is that I do that full time, but that's not the case. I think my introduction to people is very dependent on the person that I'm being introduced to.
Right.
Um, if I was in more of an arts community, I would introduce myself as a dancer. If I was in the music community, I would still say I'm a dancer, but I have a DJ side to me. And then if I'm in my like workspace, like my 9 to 5 space, I would tell them like what my job would be, what my job role is.
Does it get too much on your plate? How do you balance? How
Oh
do you
yeah.
balance? What do you do to keep yourself sane?
The first thing is that I'm not sane.
Okay. And
No,
it's
no.
okay, right? And it's
Yeah,
okay.
no, I love it. I actually put myself under pressure, and I know that's not, for everybody, and I totally understand. But I have always kind of grown up with this like level of discipline that nobody understands. I've set myself on like a very strict schedule every single day, and like I have to make sure I get through everything every single day that I set my mind to. And when it doesn't, I get, really hard on myself. So I totally get that this life is not for everybody, but staying on that schedule and creating that like life for me actually keeps me very happy and sane. And I like staying busy. I like learning new things and always doing something different. And I think even while I was growing up, I always wanted to be that person that did what no one else did. Like I wanted to be very unique and I wanted to, you know, just be that person that was like, how does she do all of that? And I think I just, kind of keep living up to that. And I put myself under really high stress to like maintain that. So.
Is 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 stress and pressure directly proportional to success in life?
No, I definitely think I don't need to put myself under that much pressure to like get things done. And I'm such a perfectionist too, so like I don't need to, but sometimes my best work really comes out when I'm under so much pressure. Like, and I always follow that mentality of like, diamonds are made under pressure, so can I, So I do like that side to me, but I do burn out very fast. And that's something that I like keep trying to work on and like get better about. But that's just the way I am. Like if I'm too like, not doing anything or I'm trying to take a break, like my mind just doesn't function and I worry about that more and I stress out about that more than actually doing the work. So I'm trying to find the balance still.
What's your earliest memory of dancing? Let's start with that term, and you can tell us the story of how Kuchipudi started for you.
Earliest memory of dancing is actually just jumping around the house when I was a kid. That I think my parents picked up and were like, we should put this kid into dance. That's how I got started. But I will say my first ever dance class and the few following, I think for at least a year and a half after I started, I absolutely hated it. There was nothing, I just didn't want to do it. I really hated it. I'm very lazy at heart. I'm a very hypocritical person, but like I'm actually very lazy as a person. So anything that requires so much effort to do, I don't want to do it.
Right.
So when I was younger, I would always throw tantrums to like get out of class, and I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to sit at home and watch cartoons. But I think there was something that my teacher said at one point during a class where she was like, I see a lot of potential in you and you're not doing it. Remember how I said I was like, I always wanted to be that person that did that something that no one else ever did. And she told me at that time, she's like, you could be a really great dancer and you're not putting in the effort. And I think that kind of like flipped a switch. And I was like, I could do this. If she thinks that I could, then let me be that person that, does it better than everyone else. And as a kid, you also like really like applause and, appreciation. And I think that motivated me at the time. I
Right.
think it was my first performance when I think, yeah, it was my first ever performance with like an actual dance costume and everything. It started, I think, 4 years after I had started actually learning class or dance classes. And some random person came to me and was like, wow, you really stood out in the middle of those 20 kids. And I was like, really? And so that's when, again, like when you're a kid, like you really love applause. So anything that just keeps that going, that was my biggest motivator at the time. So I think, and I love being on stage. So it really, all of those things combined were my.
Does being a dancer or in the creative world run in the family? Do you think you have it in the genes from your mom, dad, or someone else?
Yeah, so a lot of my family members are artists themselves, and I actually, and not just my family, but like a lot of family friends, and I was very much part of the community here that I grew up with. And every single weekend there would be some kind of a Carnatic concert, a dance program, dance workshops. Somebody from India would come to give a lecture demonstration. So I was always surrounded by art, nonstop.
Okay.
And I think that also really challenged me to, be very competitive against my peers. And again, there's different sides to how healthy that is and all of that stuff.
You had the interest and you were also, you didn't have a choice. Was that
Yeah.
the battle? I'm curious about this story and answer because I feel like a lot of us go through a similar battle. And also, you could have been part of, you probably were like part of like sports or specifically swimming or some other like basketball or some other kind of interests that your parents wanted you to pursue as a little kid. But somehow Kuchipudi has now over time become a core part of who Manaswini is, right? So, and which you love. Coincidentally, you love being that person.
Yeah, so fun fact, I used to be in ice skating. And
Okay.
again, that was another thing that I threw tantrums about and I didn't want to do. And then dance class came into play, and then ice skating went away. I think though, with that aspect of it, that's a really good question. I never thought about it. But I think my interest, along with my family's interest, aligned, especially when it came to dance. I think the theatrics of it, the, being on stage and acting things out, I think I already had it within me that I don't think they really needed to push me that much.
Right. Yeah.
It was actually in some cases I would be the one to say like, "Hi, I need you to take me to dance class and we have this many rehearsals, like can you do it?" And it was that kind of back and forth, but never like, trying to convince me to keep going or anything like that. After that, I hit that like 1 year mark after starting.
Trust your parents, I guess, at that age, or
I didn't know anything else too.
yeah, yeah.
But now looking back, I don't think I would have done anything else. Like if it was truly up to me, I don't know what other direction I would have gone in, especially with the influence that I had around me. And I had a lot of influences around me. Like I said, I grew up in an extremely competitive community, so everyone was doing at least 3 to 4 different sports, along with music and dance and chess and math club, like all these different things. And the two things that I did was music class and dance class, and that's it. So I was very clear about what it is that I wanted to do, and I didn't let anything kind of distract that. So it was really just me after a certain point. My parents didn't really have to push or anything.
What was your first big performance as a Kuchipudi dancer? Do you still remember that? And
Yeah.
in comparison to today, how do you feel when you get on the stage? Is that a similar feeling? Any jitters? I'm watching you perform. I'm sure you don't have any of those jitters anymore. That's what I think. And I think it goes back to you said you always been this way, or did you ever have stage fright? Let's talk about that.
No, I didn't have
No?
any.
No?
Yeah, I never had
Okay.
any stage fright. If anything, I would be sad to not be on stage. Like I would get anxious not being on stage.
Right.
Um, so if I was just going to a program or something and watching my friends go, like I would have like visible emotion that I'm like, why am I not there? Why am I sitting in the audience? Like, and that still happens now. So if I'm not performing, I actually get very upset. So I don't even remember the last time I had stage fright. Um, and yeah, there were two very monumental like occasions in my dance career. One, which was after I started or after I was in classes for about like 6, 7 years. I was still in like the beginners group at that time. My teacher saw something in me and was like, "I'm gonna move you to the senior class." And that was just, I remember watching as a junior, like watching the seniors being like, "I wish I could be part of them. I wish I could be part of them." And she finally like gave me the green light and put me in the senior class. And I remember feeling this like imposter syndrome right when I first started. But that year, we had an opportunity to audition for a big festival.
Okay.
He wanted me to be a part of it. We made it through once we got to the auditions and made it through to the actual final performance, and we did that final performance, that was like the biggest like memory for me because not only did I get to do that performance with the senior batch that I wanted to be a part of, but more importantly, my teacher had the confidence in me that I could do something like that and be a part of the group. So that was a really big moment for me. And then a couple of years later, I had applied to this program called Young Arts, which is an it's a program for students going into college to like, get recognition for their art form. And it's a non-Desi organization, and but they had a Desi component to it. So Indian classical dances could apply to it. And I had no intention of applying actually that year because I was so focused on my college applications. And my mom pushed me and was like, "You should do this, see what happens." And I think I applied for it like 2 hours before the deadline ended. And I made it all the way to the finals. So I was a finalist that year, completely by so like I had no idea what I was doing. But that performance that I got to do as a result of winning that award that year was one of the biggest performances that changed my life. I did not realize that non-Desi community had so much support for Indian classical dances and wanted to learn about it too. And so that was my first like experience of like getting into the actual dance world here in America. Normally, like I would just be doing it within my own community or go to India, but like this was something totally different. And so I think that was when I realized like, okay, I want to share my art form out, not just within our community, but as to the, outer community as well. Because I would love for people to know what this is. So that changed my life completely. And are there performances that came after that that are even bigger? Absolutely. But I think that one was pivotal, and so it stuck with me forever. I'm a very actually introverted person. I don't like speaking up and I don't like confrontation. I like to stay behind the drama. Like I don't want to create any drama. So for me to get up and say, "Hey, I want this opportunity," or I want, to perform here, XYZ, all of those things, I really need to want it. And I think one of those, that's one quality of me that doesn't shine as much. But when I want something, nothing will stop me to like get it. Like if I wanted to go perform in Tirupati or like, I don't know, like Carnegie Hall or something like that, some big places, I will find a way to do it. Whether I do it now or like 5 years from now, I will find a way to do it. And if I need to, call all the people I need to do, like I will do it. That's my point. So yeah, I definitely don't sit around waiting for the opportunity. I will try my best within the selective extrovertedness that I have. Uh, yeah, I think everything for me is like if I want it, I will do it.
That's very beautiful. You said selective extrovertedness that you have. That's enough to do so many things. You can be an introvert and you just need a little magic dust of extrovertedness to do so much more. That's nice. You don't have to be 100% extrovert. That's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, it's
I
just
it's very distracting. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people agree with me. I have a lot of unpopular opinions,
right.
but one of them is like I really don't like to be very social. And, I think when I'm very selected extroverted, I kind of research the people and like who is it that I want to talk to? Who is it that I want to learn more from? And then I will make my introduction. Like I don't like a lot of distractions, and I think being
Right.
100% extroverted is just you're having a lot of conversations with a lot of random people. You might learn something,
Right.
absolutely, but how is it getting it to your ultimate goal? And that's how I think I always think, which again, I think that might just be me, but
No, I agree because you only have 24 hours. You
yeah.
can only sleep at night for a few hours, and during the day, you have limited energy to use, and you can only use it for a certain number of people. Of course, there will be thousand more opportunities and thousand other doors to knock, but you stick to one decision, you stick to one person, one door a day, and then you continue on with life. So that's how it is, very intentional, and that's how I think it should be. But
Intentional is the word I'm looking for.
yeah, I know you said you don't like to be very social, but you made such a big name on social media. let's let's talk
What I
about.
mean, honestly, I'm like very hypocritical sometimes. Yeah. And I think that's sometimes I look back and I look at, what all these, numbers are. It's incredible. Like I don't even want to call it numbers. I want to say people, the people
Yeah.
behind the scenes that are following. And I'm just like, really? What is it that I've done? I still don't know. But the truth is I'm totally myself. And if people are really liking that, and it's something that I take pride in is I haven't changed who I am as a person to like be creative. This is what I always do and have been doing. I just happen to be recording it now. So yeah, it's amazing.
No, I think, but you've built a loyal like community for yourself and for the things you do. And just to confirm, was this intentional? Did this just happen? I want to know the journey of social media growth because especially for Kuchipudi and these kind of things, you don't get success so big, so effortlessly is what I feel. And you've been doing such a good job. So please tell us a little bit of,
Thank
your
you.
magic formula, if there is any.
Formula? Well, maybe there is, but I think how this all started, first of all, I've always wanted to be on camera. I think anything related to do with the arts, media, film, video, everything I just wanted to be a part of. Growing up, like I always had that mindset. Um, and I think also growing up, what pushed me away from that though was I have to be an extrovert. Like I have to go out and meet people and I'd have to sign with an agency or I'd needed to have a publisher. Like I would need to work with a lot of people in order to get where I needed to go. That's the only direction that I knew in at the time. And social media wasn't so big when I was growing up. When I realized, and this was, I think, during like YouTube growth in, the 2010 era. That was when I was like, I think I can do this, by myself. I don't think I would need a team. But again, I didn't really have the time or the knowledge or the interest to want to do that yet.
Right.
I'm actually a very scared personality. Like I'm very scared to jump in and do things. That's why like all of my there I don't follow trends because like you don't know how a trend will fall later. Like it might, anyone that followed in this trend is going to be canceled or something like that. I don't follow trends. I will try to do my own thing.
Right.
So I'd never wanted to do what other people were doing. I wanted to find a way to do it in the way that I liked. So I never really jumped on the YouTube thing. But during the pandemic, when TikTok was rising and everyone had a lot more time, I finally was like, you know what? I have to bite the bullet because, like, I know I want to do this, but why am I stopping myself from being scared to post? And the big reason why I wasn't posting was because I thought I was going to get judged by, my gurus, people in India that I have a really strong connection with, the dance community here. I didn't know how they would take it. And I think me being scared for so many years to try and put my personality out there, even though the people that are very close to me have no problem with who I am and what I'm doing, I was scared of the judgment. And so I didn't put anything out until I hit my breaking point in like 2020 when everyone was posting online. And I said, I don't know what my dance community is like. And there are so many issues and, concerns surrounding the dance community that no one wants to talk about.
Right.
If people hate me for what I'm about to say, then they're gonna hate me for what I'm about to say. Like, we need to discuss these topics. And some of these things are like body shaming, guru shishya relationships that are totally broken, the performance fees, artists have to pay to perform. Like, what is that? Like, why are we not discussing these types of things? And I wanted to do it in a way that meant something to me. It was a little comical, there was a little satire in it, there's like parodies, and I wanted to just share what the dance world is like because I didn't see that in on
Right.
social media. I saw a lot of other things. So if you notice in the early stages of my content, it's actually a lot of like skits of things that happen in dance class. I actually didn't post a lot of real dance videos, like actually performing or anything. And I would do that in conjunction, but the majority was like these skits and trying to create some relatable content.
Right.
I didn't realize how many people went through so many of the same things. And so my intention with that was like, I wanted to just create a small dance community where we shared all of these things with each other. So we felt like, we can go through this together. You don't have to face any of these issues alone. We can have all the laughs that we have together. And I just felt like I needed something to bring the dance community together because I didn't know who was out there.
Right.
And somehow that ended up working. And um, yeah, so this was really a selfish thing to me because I wanted to know who was out there so that I can collaborate with them
Right.
and bring people together that way. I didn't know that it was actually like really bringing people together. So it's been really nice to experience this for sure.
No, I guess another thing to add would be educating about Kuchipudi, right? That's also, I guess, one of the things you wanted to make sure you do through these content, different kinds of ideas that you have out there. And thank you for creating that space, though, even for not just women and girls, right? Even for guys and people like us, we need to learn about these kind of art form also, right? And not just hip hop and those kind of dance forms, right? We don't get the opportunity to learn about these things elsewhere, and having the opportunity to learn it through Instagram is, why not? It's a perfect way of using such a platform, not just for entertainment but infotainment, right? That's a term that a lot of people use also, right? So, and also I think you're also educating people to not be scared, I guess. I know a lot of people prefer to keep it to themselves. You're learning dance at an institute and you've done it for years and maybe like a decade or so, but you just keep it for yourself. Do you have any advice for people like them? I know it's your choice. I mean, if you want to grow, if you want to connect and collaborate with the world out there, then this is the best way to do it. Put yourself on a video, put that video out on a platform and grow. What do you have to, like for people who are scared or don't know where and how to start, what do you have to say for them?
Yeah, I would say, especially coming from a very scared person, uh, do a good amount of observation, and see what other people are posting. That's a lot of what I did, especially when I first got started, is I needed to make sure that whatever content that I put out, if I looked back on it, 5 years later, I should still be proud of that video and the effort that I put in it. I shouldn't look back and feel cringe, like, oh, why did I do that?
It's
Uh,
very contrary to what most people advise. They would just say, just post that first video. But
no, no.
no.
I mean, that's me
Yeah,
because I'm someone that I need to make sure whatever, because you have a digital footprint. Like I
yeah,
don't want something coming back from the past. Like why did she do that? Why I first forget what other people say. I don't want to look at it and say,
right.
ew.
Of
That.
course. Yeah.
So do good amount of observation from other creators that you like. See what works for them and does that work for you? And maybe create a couple of videos. You don't have to post them. Create a couple of videos, share it with your friends, see what they think. And you look back on it like 3 weeks later and you say, is this something that I want other people to see? And so that will take time. Give yourself that time, give yourself grace. Like this isn't like an overnight process. But I'm always someone that says don't just jump. Like you don't know how deep the water is.
Yeah.
You also don't know, like you need to know what your end goal is. Like what is it? Why do you want to post? Like there should be a reason. If your interest is because you want to get more opportunities, you need to post, your dance videos. And that means being self-critical of your postures, your dance moves, your choreography, all of those things. Are you prepared to do that? Because it's a very mentally exhausting and physically exhausting task. So I think a lot of people get started without really knowing where they're going and they just kind of go. Um, so kind of you don't have to know what your final destination is, but just know like, okay, the next 6 months, this is where I want to be, or this is who I want to connect with.
Right.
How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? Kind of think on that. I like to be very planned and very scheduled. And, if there's something, like I said, if there's something that I really want, I will go after it. But that also means I do my homework and I really put in the time and effort to like make sure my editing is perfect, my posture is perfect, choreography is perfect, everything. Even if it takes time, that's okay. But I want to make sure that it looks great. Like I don't want that cringe factor from coming from myself.
No, absolutely. And I know you said this is not an overnight success. Would you say this is almost 14 years of 15 years of hard work that you probably put in, like from YouTube to TikTok to Instagram? How do you, put it in terms of numbers for the people out there?
Yeah, I think easily. Yeah. It's been a very long journey. I think I dabbled in YouTube for a while, didn't love it. Then I went to, going on fellowships and residencies and performances. I still love that, but I wanted something more. I think maybe tomorrow I'll suddenly hate, content creation and like go somewhere else. But
Right.
you know, in terms of it's hard to put it in numbers because like I think my journey started when I was in elementary school starting dance class.
Yeah.
Like, this was a whole life journey and
Absolutely. How are you going to put content about what you do if you haven't had the training since you were a little kid?
correct. Yeah, like
So
this
this
is
is all your life. What you're
yeah,
putting on. Yeah.
everything that I'm doing is all true scenarios that have happened or I've heard of them. And like, I wouldn't be able to reflect on them and put it out with so much confidence now if had I not gone through it several times. So this isn't something that like happened just from 2020 onwards. Like this has been nonstop since, like I was even working on it when I was watching short films. I think there was an era of time, like within the 2010 era, where short films were a really big deal. Has nothing to do with dance, but I was so interested in film and showcasing dance in the film world that I needed to do my homework on film. How does this work? And so that also is a part of the journey, but like you don't directly see it right now. So, camera angles and cinematography, all of those things play, have a factor in the work that I'm doing now. So, yeah, it's hard to put that into numbers when it's been an entire life journey.
I'm trying to put it in a sentence. I feel like the content that we make is kind of like a muscle memory of all the life experiences you've had till date. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about music production, if it's okay. And how difficult is it making these mashups? I have so many ideas in my head, and I'm sure there's so many people out there who want to do things like you do, or maybe Yash Raj, those kind of people. Like, how do you do this? Did you have formal training, and what's the behind the scenes of creating such beautiful art in the form of mashups?
Well, first off, thank you for saying that they're beautiful. And genuinely, I can say that I'm fully self-taught. I don't have any like formal training in this at all. I think once I maybe joined the DJ community officially within the Desi circles, I learned a little bit from them of how and why and all of those things. And but to be very honest, I don't have the actual like formal training of learning what balancing and frequencies and this and that. Like I have no idea. If it sounds good, it's going out. That's kind of how I've kept going. um so yeah, this was all a whole trial and error situation.
I, I guess I'll be selfish here and I'll ask you two questions here, which is what's the instrument and what's the software? How do you do this?
Yeah, so I guess the instrument here depends on what you want to do. I think if it's a mashup, then you definitely need the two songs that you're going to work with. And then for the actual like software, I personally use Logic Pro.
Okay.
I used to use Audacity, because it was a free software, but now I use Logic Pro.
Okay.
I think that's what a lot of the professionals also use too. So I that it really got me excited. I was like, oh yay, I'm using what they're using. But again, I have don't have the knowledge, so it's hard for me to speak about it with the same confidence level that I would do with dance.
Right.
If I had more of the vocabulary and the understanding of all the different, pieces that Logic has to offer, or what just, the software has to offer, maybe I could speak on it with more confidence. But at this point, if it sounds good, that's all that matters right now.
You said you did your first big gig earlier this year, and I'm sure you have so many more opportunities waiting for you down the line. How is this happening?
I don't know.
Kuchipudi dancer, like a DJ, like, and then a 9 to 5. Like, how?
Well, that has to go back to like keeping myself on a super strict schedule so that I make sure I do justice to everything. But I will say that I have a Carnatic background, Carnatic music background.
Okay.
So with that vocabulary, I use a lot in creating mashups. So this might sound weird, but when you mix two songs together, they essentially have to be in the same ragam. So they have to follow the same kind of melodic tonality of it.
Right.
Otherwise, they won't mesh.
Right.
And so I use that knowledge to see if two songs can work together well. Um, and I also use like the same, like talam, patterns to make sure that the mashup would work. I think the benefit here though, like is with Western music and a lot of our Telugu music, most of them follow an 8-beat pattern, so that's not too much to worry about, but you have to focus a lot more on the musicality of it. And I really, really attest to my Carnatic music knowledge is the reason why I'm able to create mashups quickly.
Got it. I mean, I had a separate question, of course, because I want to educate the people out there about you do workshops for Kuchipudi, right?
Mhm.
You also give lessons for being a DJ and remixing.
No,
Not yet. Okay.
no, genuine, only because I don't have if I had the vocabulary and the background theory to actually know what I'm talking about,
Right.
maybe I, but there are so many people who do this way better than I do, and you should learn from them. They would know what they're talking about. I'm just like
Right.
pressing buttons at this point.
And you're doing great. So
Thank-
whatever your buttons you're pressing, you're doing good job. But yeah, let's go back to Kuchipudi then. Do you want to give a little intro on those workshops and what actually do you teach and what people can come to you for?
Yeah, so I do two different things. First one is I teach actual classes within my dance school.
Okay.
And those are, every week, and we, go from the basics to all, final pieces and all of that. I'm currently not only teaching like basic beginners classes, but at the same time also supporting students that are doing their Natyanjali or their solo dance debut. And I occasionally choreograph pieces. So I'm actually doing the dance teacher thing. So that's one piece of it. Workshops is a little more temporary, and it's really based on if I have the time to do it. And I also consider those workshops to be a little bit not so strict in the sense that they're not semi-classical by any means, but I think I experiment a little bit more with the type of songs that I would do. They're not like, they're usually like movie songs that have some kind of a classical notation to it, or something that is a little bit more familiar to
Right.
more audiences so that it feels a little bit more fun. Basically, the idea of those is to not make classical dance so intimidating. Because
Right.
that was what I kept hearing growing up is classical dance is so intimidating, it's scary. I'm worried to actually learn it. Because it does require a lot of discipline, just like how all other dances that you do, it requires a lot of discipline and structure to actually get to try and attain perfection.
Right.
But I feel like that worry that people have stops them from actually trying. And so the purpose of these workshops is give it a shot. See what your comfort level is. I will try to go through the basics with you as much as I can. Um, it's not like a formal dance class by any means within an actual Kuchipudi class, but I would love for you to get some exposure to it just to see if you like it, you enjoy it, and it will encourage you to, keep learning or go to an actual class.
That sounds more like a feeler or an icebreaker to the actual
Yeah,
world of,
that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah.
yeah. And everything is in person, not online.
Yeah, no, I tried doing online. Everything is in person. I tried doing online, but genuinely, I don't feel that connection. That I feel like this internet is just like this block to actually feeling the emotion of teaching and
Right.
receive that, from the student as well. It's hard because I used to learn online and I really didn't enjoy it.
Right.
Because I don't think I was actually grasping what I was just grasping the movement, but I was not grasping any of the details. So if anyone asks me, like, do you recommend learning online? My immediate answer is no. Unless you're already a very seasoned dancer and you're learning a specific item from someone that you really look up to, I would highly recommend not doing online classes. Like, go to them in person because you can see all the small different posture details and you learn from them so much more. And just, the engagement that you have in person is so much different than what you would online.
Absolutely. And I'd want to add a little personal touch here. My wife, Maunika, she actually learns Bharatnatyam, and she also teaches Hindustani classical music. And I had a question to ask you, so I was integrating this story of mine into it, which is the question is we recently put out a reel where we put her Bharatnatyam, one of her sessions, we put it in a form of a reel and shared it to the world. And that got over 1 million views. And the caption for it was age, question mark, what age? That just one, two words triggered so many emotions all around the world for people who thought it's not really too late to learn, whether it's Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, or any other art form. So it connected and resonated with a lot of people. So I ask you this question: what age do you think is the right age, or is there a right age to learn Kuchipudi in specific? Do you, from what I've learned in terms of Bharatanatyam, it gets difficult as you grow older. So those postures or practices that you have to do, it's not really something you can do at an older stage in life because physical demand of that art form is so much, right? Does it also resonate with Kuchipudi? What do you have to say?
This is always a challenging question to answer because the easy answer is to say no, there is no right age. You can do dance at any point in your life, but you mentioned physical, struggles that you go through. We also have to think about as adults, we have a lot of more mental, like, we have so many things that we go through on a day-to-day basis that children don't necessarily have to go through. And so it's easier to like permeate their brains of like, this is how you do a posture, just like, as well as for practice sake, they don't have a whole lot on their minds as children. We have that mental space, and if we come from a family that, supports that, learning space, we don't have as much distraction to be able to continue our practice. As adults, I think we have a lot of things that are constantly asking for our attention. So it's hard to put the same amount of dedication and effort into a dance practice because I see this all the time for people who come as to learn from me as adults. There's work tensions, there's traffic problems, we have to get dinner and put it on the table, and I have to take my kid to school. All of these things, as amazing as it is that you still want to continue dance, they truly are taking away from your dance practice or your dance meditation, right? And I really encourage people to, of course, learn, but also understand your circumstances before you jump into it. It's the same thing as what I said about social media and posting. Understand your circumstances and understand that this is not just a 1 hour a week class. This is something that you need to do minimum 10 hours of focus per week.
Right.
You really, really get into it because you're learning something new for the first time. And even if you did something, 10 years back, you gave it up, and then you came back 10 years later, you're still restarting from scratch. And your body has completely changed from what it was 10 years ago. So you need to really devote yourself to those 10 hours of practice. And I've seen it happen. People do it. It's not impossible. But I think people start without understanding how much goes into it. And that's why they get scared of like, is there a right age to start? Is there a thing? It's just your circumstances are different. And you just need to be very hyper aware of what that is in that moment.
Agreed. I guess if life allows you, then why not?
Right. Yeah, there you go. I talk a lot, so yes. But put it into
No,
one sentence, that's
I've
what.
summarized it based on what you educated me on. So that's you're making my life easy. So that's how it is. But just want to end on a little fun note, I guess. What's your most favorite memory from the social media popularity, if I can say, that you've had a comment? I know you've also received a lot of criticism or those kind of negative connotations, but what's been your most favorite memory, or maybe something specific, like, or that particular artist that or a celebrity, the term, they saw your content, or someone randomly posted a beautiful comment or slid into your DM to tell you, okay, this is so beautiful what you're doing. So do you have any recent memory? Maybe I know you'll have so many of these things happening, but recently, what do you have to share?
Actually, it's not well, she's a celebrity in my life. Um, it's actually my dance teacher. I was always worried, like I said beforehand, like if I started posting these things, like what is the dance community gonna say, and am I gonna get judged for it? But now my teacher actively watches my videos,
Oh,
and
nice.
and, and she laughs about it, or she'll comment on it. And I think that validation from her and from the dance community with, in my circles has been so much more rewarding than any comment or DM that I've ever gotten. Not to downplay anyone,
Right. Yeah.
to comment on my videos. I'm very grateful for their view and for their comment. But I think getting it from the people that I really look up to and who've seen me grow also, and have basically been the reason why I am here doing what I'm doing today, telling me that they like my work and they're encouraging me to keep going makes me very excited. And I think also the people who once upon a time were like, "Are you sure you want to get into this space? Like, are you sure?" are now the ones who are encouraging me to keep going.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, I think my teacher, as well as some of my teachers from India, they're just constantly like, Manaswini, you're making us laugh. You're really speaking, you're bringing the community together, or you're encouraging newer talents to come join our school, all of those different things. I feel very motivated to keep going and excited that, that's the recognition I was scared about. Like I didn't think I
Right.
would get that. I thought I was gonna get yelled at for it.
Right.
But instead, they're supporting me. And so yeah, that's what my most favorite memory of this whole process.
My last and final question, of course, is the name of the podcast show itself. What's your Sankalp, Manaswini? And this could be related to the few things that you're doing today, or the few things that you want to pursue in the future.
Like you mentioned, this loyal following that I have of the dance community, I would love to keep in touch with them, and maintain what we have and continue discussing, relatable topics, creating a space for us to feel safe and seen that, we're all in this together. Whatever I can do and whatever I know and have learned over the years, I'm happy to share, but I would also want to learn from them as well. So bringing everyone together and keeping ourselves together so we can continue to encourage each other to learn, grow, dance together. That was the whole reason why I started this. And I just want that to keep going. And if it's, I hope that we can get some good laughs out of it and, just enjoy this art creating space.
Right. My biggest success, I feel, with talking to people like you and recording episodes like this is not if I find one listener for the episode. It's me, myself, if I enjoy the podcast and have so many takeaways. So thank you so much for giving me the honor of documenting your story so far. And I can't wait to probably talk to you 5 years from now, where you'll be doing 10 other things. And I'll talk to you about all those success and failures, challenges, and ups and downs. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here. And it's all, like I said, no one really gets to chat. I don't get to chat with people. And so it's very nice to kind of look back and reflect on and, go through this entire, journey all over again. And thank you for summarizing all of my yapping into one sentence. Like, I really appreciate it.
No, like I said, a powerhouse. That was the first thing I said, and that's exactly who you are at the end of it as well.